Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today we have Sports News episode 64. So we will be covering the four major sports plus college football. So starting right off in the NBA, the Lakers and Pistons got into a massive brawl. It started with LeBron James hitting Pistons Isaiah Stewart in his face, and then Stewart charged at LeBron. Both LeBron James and Isaiah Stewart were both ejected from the game, and LeBron James was suspended 1 game, whereas Isaiah Stewart was suspended 2 games for their actions in the brawl. Cavaliers guard Colin Sexton is out for the season. He will undergo surgery on his torn meniscus in his knee. The Kings fired head coach Luke Walton in his first, after 2+ seasons with Sacramento. He had a record of 68-93, so not great, and the Kings decided to move on. Warriors' Klay Thompson is cleared for 5-on-5 drills. He hasn't played in a game since he tore his ACL in Game 6 of the 2019 NBA Finals. And the best teams in the league, the Warriors 15-2, Suns 13-3, and Bulls 12-5. The worst, the Magic 4-13, the Pelicans 3-15, and the Rockets 1-15. Let's go over to the NHL. The Senators are returning to playing after postponing games due to COVID-19. They will return to play the Avalanche. Lightning star forward Braden Point is out indefinitely with an upper body injury. He crashed into the boards after being tripped, which is how he suffered the injury. Oilers defenseman Darnell Nurse will miss 2 to 3 weeks with a broken finger. Flyers Ryan Ellis out 4 to 6 weeks with a lower body injury. That's it for the NHL. Let's go over to the MLB. Marlins and starting pitcher Sandy Alcantara they're near an agreement to a 5-year, $55 million contract extension. The Yankees designated 3 players for assignment. Those players were Tyler Wade, Rougned Odor, and Quint Frazier, and they traded Tyler Wade to the Angels for a player to be named or cash considerations. The Red Sox picked up the option on manager Alex Cora's 23 and 24, the option for the 2023 and 2024 seasons. It was a club option. The Pirates signed pitcher Jose Quintana to a 1-year deal. Brewers and catcher Pedro Severino agreed to a 1-year contract worth $1.9 million. Corbin Burns won the NL Cy Young Award, whereas Robbie Wright took home the Cy Young honors in the NL, and Shohei Ohtani was the unanimous MVP in the American League, and Bryce Harper won it in the National League. Let's go over to the NFL. Justin Fields suffered a rib injury in the Bears' loss to the Ravens on Sunday, and the team is hoping it's nothing more than bruised ribs. Broncos and wide receiver Courtland Sutton agreed to a 4-year, $60.8 million contract extension. Jonathan Taylor set a franchise record for the Colts with 5 touchdowns against the Bills. He's the first player in Colts franchise history to have 5 touchdowns in 1 game. Aaron Rodgers re-aggravated his turf toe injury in the Packers' loss to the Vikings on Sunday. Cowboys' CeeDee Lamb left the game with a concussion and did not return. Jaguars wide receiver and return man Jamal Agnew will miss the remainder of the season with a hip injury. Saints and Taysom Hill agree to a hybrid extension, and it can be worth up to $95 million, and it's going to be dependent on where and how much he plays of what positions. And another thing with the Saints, tight end Adam Trautman is out 4 to 6 weeks with a sprained MCL. Let's go over to college football. Florida fires their coach Dan Mullen after 4 seasons. So Mullen had a disappointing season this year. He coached Florida to a 5-6 record. Last year they were really good. They were challenging Alabama in the SEC championship. And So for my weekly college football recap, it's not going to be that long. Like, I'm not going to include every single game because there was a lot of blowouts this week. But starting off with the recap, Pitt beat Virginia 48-38. Both quarterbacks had great games. Brennan Armstrong played for Virginia. He completed 36 of 49 pass attempts for 487 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also threw 1 interception. And Pitt's Kenny Pickett went 26 of 41, throwing for 340 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. Oklahoma beat Iowa State 28-21. Caleb Williams did not throw for over 100 yards, but he ran for a key 67-yard score. Clemson beat Wake Forest 48-27. Clemson had 2 players over 100 yards rushing. Kobe Pace had a tremendous game, 24 carries for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Will Shipley also had a great game, 19 carries for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cincinnati got a much-needed dominant win over SMU 48-14. Desmond Ridder did a little bit of everything in this game. He threw 3 touchdown passes, he ran for a touchdown, and he caught a touchdown, ending up with a stat line of 17 of 23 for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. On the ground, 3 carries for 36 yards and a touchdown, and receiving 1 reception for 5 yards and a touchdown. Ohio State destroyed Michigan State 56-7. C.J. Stroud had a phenomenal game, and so based off this performance, I think he's now the front runner for the Heisman. So if I had to pick a Heisman winner up to this point, it would definitely be C.J. Stroud after his performance. He went 32 of 35 for 432 yards and 6 touchdowns. Ohio State only let Kenneth Walker run for 25 yards. And that was mainly because he only got 6 carries because Michigan State was throwing the ball a lot, trying to come back from a massive deficit the entire game. And all 3 of Ohio State's star receivers, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, all had outstanding games. Olave, 7 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, 7 receptions for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Smith-Njigba, 10 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown. Alabama escapes with a win against Arkansas. Bryce Young had an amazing game, 31 of 40 for 559 yards, and that was an Alabama record for one game. Passing. 559 yards is an Alabama record for most passing yards in a game. Alabama wide receiver Jameson Williams also had a phenomenal game, 8 receptions for 190 yards and 3 scores. Utah beat Oregon in a game that wasn't even close. The final score was 38-7. The keys to Oregon and how they were going to win the game was bring the run game and defense on the road. They brought neither of those. They gave up 38 points, and they only ran for 68 yards. Utah returned a punt for a touchdown right before the half. So the first half was all Utah. They ended up at the half with a lead of 28-0. So that's going to be all for this video. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you later next time for my NFL Week 11 recap.